Hello again. One of the grand things about getting one's information from books is that they cannot be edited, altered, deleted, or distorted once you have them in your possession. We have all seen websites being changed, and this is why the internet is sometimes an unreliable source of information. Not so books like this, which have been on my bookshelf for years. It was published in 1993 and it's full of useful and interesting facts, such as those found on page 128. Hmm. Which tell us that in 1990, just 30,400 people came to live in this country from abroad. This was at a time, by the way, when the population of this country was actually falling. That is to say, more people were dying and leaving the country than arriving here or being born. It made life so much more pleasant and relaxed because every service was not under such awful strain. The tube trains were emptier, A&E was sometimes deserted at night, and so on. Anybody remember those days? The population of London that year was 6.75 million. Now it's almost 10 million. Right there is one reason that life in the capital is less pleasant than it was 30 years ago. I might add that the change in ethnicity might also have contributed to that, of course. So, who were the immigrants in 1990? Let's have a look. Well, just 1,760 people moved to Britain from the European Union. That's one figure. How many arrived from the Middle East, do you think? Countries such as Iraq and Iran, Syria, Egypt, and so on. 2,980. And not one of them was an asylum seeker. There were some people coming here from Eastern Europe, of course, countries like Romania and Bulgaria. There were 630 such people that year. Perhaps the most surprising aspect of these statistics is the fact that a very large chunk, a third in fact, of the immigration was from Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the United States. 5,170 from Australia and New Zealand, 3,360 from the United States, and 850 from Canada. On the other hand, the number coming here from Africa and the Caribbean was so tiny as to be statistically negligible, fewer than 500 in total. Now the question is, what happened to change this state of affairs? I cannot persuade myself that this was entirely the random workings of blind chance, so there must have been definite reasons for the fact that immigration accelerated to such an extent that last year it was 30 times higher than in 1990. There were just as many famines and plagues and terrible conflicts raging across the world as is now the case, so that cannot account for it. The European Convention on Human Rights existed then just as it does now. I wonder if any viewers can say what they think changed matters so greatly. Britain certainly seemed to manage well enough with her ageing population at that time, and the fact that the population was falling rather than rising did not provoke panic or calls for immigration. In fact, throughout the 1980s and up to 1994, net migration to this country was, with a few exceptional years, always negative. That is to say, the overall number of people here was going down rather than up. If we assume that chance alone could not have produced such a change, then another possibility would be that a decision was consciously taken to increase immigration to this country 30-fold, from 30,000 a year to 1 million. Try as I might, though, I can find no trace of any such decision by any British government. It really is something of a mystery.